Okay then, here we go. So a couple of people started asking and bothering me about how OBS works, and I sometimes browse around on news streams that I find on Reddit and whatnot, and people seem to have a lot of trouble making their stream work and using OBS in general. People tend to go to Xfire, and then since they have like not good enough computers, and yeah, you can have a really good computer, but if you don't have a capture card, you'll be better off using OBS either way. Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna set up open broadcast software to stream. I'm gonna do 2 games by example. First, I'm gonna do just a simple one on how to do a game capture with the desktop behind it, and then I'm gonna do the same for League of Legends with overlay. What I'm not going to explain is the now playing, which you can see in the right bottom of the screen somewhere. If you really want stuff like that, you will just have to figure that out for yourself. It's somewhere on the OBS side. I'm not gonna go into that. So, first off, once you install Open Broadcaster software, make sure that you always run it as administrator. If you're running a 64-bit system, let me just go back to my desktop here. If you're running a 64-bit system, always run the 64-bit OBS, regardless of what bits your game's running or whatever. If you have 64 bits, use OBS for 64 bits. Period. Always, and I can't stress this enough, so I'm gonna say it again, always run Open Broadcaster software as an administrator. I'm using Windows 7 right here. So I'm gonna explain this for Windows 7. I'm pretty sure most of the other systems work similarly, so here it goes. I stream from a pretty crappy laptop, to be honest. It's really nothing to write home about. It's about 1.5 years old. It has like semi-decent specs. I can show you that right here. Let me find GPU. Here you can see that I'm running a Intel graphics card, which everybody knows, like Intel graphics suck. So there. Well, what else? It's an Acer computer. Acers are okay, but not the top-notch company. Yeah, so you can see my specs are meh. They're average at best. One thing that I do have is quite a lot of video memory. It goes up to 1.8 gig, I believe it is, 1.76, and I do have a quite a lot of RAM memory, which is definitely useful. Okay, so pretty average computer, laptop. Let's do this. Okay. Once you fire up your Open Broadcast server, this is going to be empty. Let me just delete this really quick. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna add a new scene. I'm not gonna do that right now because if I do, you guys won't be able to see me right now. So before I do that, I'll walk you through the settings first that I use, and then I'll use global sources, which I'll explain later. So first you go to your settings, and basically you set up some key stuff for yourself. Now this is like user preference, so I'm not gonna say much about like things that are kind of obvious. I'm just gonna go into a few things. For instance, encoding. This is a very important part for streaming. You have a couple of options here. You have a quality balance. As far as I can tell, this doesn't do too much, and like you can run the highest settings usually no problem. The higher you go, the more trouble it has with rapidly changing scenes. So let's say you have a RTS type of game, or something where the screen really changes a lot all over your screen, then it would be smart to maybe put the quality down a bit. If not, just run it at 8, 9, 10, whatever. Now, the next thing you're gonna have to do is set your max bitrate and your buffer size. Now, for the max bitrate, what you want to do first is you want to go to speedtest.net and check out what your actual download and upload speeds are. Mostly upload. Normally, they recommend that you turn off whatever programs you have running to maximize this result. I would say don't do that. Leave any programs that you want to have open while streaming, just leave them open, because they consume a little bit of your bandwidth as well. So let's say you're gonna play YouTube songs like I do, then just leave them open so you have like a more realistic view of what the speed actually is. So just pick a server, random server, start a test. It's gonna take about a minute or half a minute. So just wait for that while I drink my beer. There. Alright, so this is the current result with all the programs that I have open with my housemate behind the internet in the other room. This is pretty much what I have left. The down speed isn't really that important, it's mostly about the up speed. Now, you're gonna upload basically constant pieces of your screen, like frames, onto the Twitch servers, and they're gonna use your upload, and you want to make sure that you use a maximum of 75% of this value. You don't want to go above, because other stuff won't work. You don't want to go too low, because your quality will take a hit or it'll start getting choppy or something. So to be safe, just use 3/4 of this value, or if you have a really fast connection like apparently I do, you can use whatever you need. There's a little table, I'll link this somewhere on the forums later, on the Uncut Gaming forums, which will show you more or less what bandwidth and at what FPS and at what quality you can use and you want to use. Now, I use this value right here. That's quite a lot. Most of you will use about 5 megabits, so 5,000, 6,000 usually. That's a pretty good number. 3,000 is fine as well. Then the buffer size basically means that whoever's watching needs to download this much of data before their stream actually starts to play. Usually you want to set it to the same value as your bitrate per second, so they download 1 second of video. Or in my case, I went up a little bit more, so they have to download about 1.5 seconds of video before it actually starts playing. Usually if your stream is choppy and it's not due to your internet connection being too slow, it's probably the buffer size that's configured wrong. So just stick to either the same values or make the buffer size a little bit bigger. As for audio encoding, the type of encoding that you use doesn't really matter. It's personal preference. Just pick whatever. As for bitrate, I would say go 96 or higher, which will give you pretty much the best quality. Like you won't hear a difference between 96 and 256 unless you have like some kind of really good audio card and audio system and whatnot. So just use these settings unless you have a really good reason to use something else. Compared to your video bitrate, this is pretty low, so don't worry about that too much. Using CBR, CBR stands for constant bitrate. I don't use it because if your screen changes a lot, which it tends to do when you're streaming games or whatever, this will mess up your quality occasionally, so I just leave it off. If you have issues with internet spikes or something like that, you might want to try and turn it on, just in case your router has trouble or whatever. Right. Next tab. Now this is pretty important. You want to set your mode to live stream, because obviously you're setting up a stream. I use Twitch TV for only 3D. I don't know which one that is. I'm pretty sure there's an option there as well. That's probably some kind of different settings. Anyway, select Twitch if you use Twitch. Select the server that is closest to you. There's a program where you can actually see which server has the lowest latency with you. Usually people, can just use their brain and think like, okay, this server is close to me, I'm gonna use this one. I'm in the Netherlands. This is the only server that's actually in the Netherlands, so I just use Amsterdam. Then you'll have to find your play path or stream key or whatever the heck it's called for your streaming service provider. For Twitch, you can find it on the website right here. You log into Twitch with your account. If you don't have one yet, make one, and you go to Twitch TV, twitch.tv/broadcast. It will bring up this page. You can download some other programs. Most of them suck anyway, unless you have like really good computers, so just use OBS. Click show key and it will show your key. You can just copy paste it right into here, and that's it. I would recommend using auto reconnect. Do it about 10 times. This is really personal preference, not that important. If you have like bad routers or your internet keeps disconnecting, you'll have to use this. Dashboard, this is not required. You can fill it in. What it does is it brings up an additional button here. It's this one. It's normally grayed out, but once you fill this in, it comes up and it can link you directly to your Twitch dashboard, which is basically the page where you can change your stream title and some other useful stuff. So if you want to do that, it's basically just this link / your Twitch username. No need to do all this really. If you want a hotkey, you can set it up. Saving to file is kind of overrated because all your videos will be available on Twitch anyway. You can download them from there if you need them. So it will just clog up your computer for no good reason. Right. Next tab, video. Very important. Select the video adapter that you use to play your games with. I helped somebody set up a stream today. In-game streaming didn't work, game capture didn't work. Turned out he was running the game on a different card than OBS was running on. So if you do that, your screen is going to be black. It's not going to work. Make sure you have this set right. I only use one, so no problems for me there. Then you're going to set up your resolution. You can either use your monitor, which will just do your standard resolution. For me, that's 1366 by 768, I think. I don't know. I use one that's a little bit lower, simply because basically this resolution has almost the same aspect ratio. It's like 0.1 off, which is not noticeable, and it's 720p, so yeah, it's good enough. No use to stream above that. I mean, like 720 is fine. Like if you want to stress out your computer more, you can go higher. If you have a good computer, you can go higher, but for most people this will be not needed. Next thing you want to do is screw around with this. Let's say you do set this to your full screen. You can decide to scale it down for a stream, make it smaller, you know, the signal that it puts out. I don't do that. I just leave it at 720p. Right. Then you want to set up the FPS, which again I'll refer you to this. Depending on how fast your bitrate is, usually this will be your limit. Either your bitrate will be your limit or your CPU. So you'll have to play around with this and figure out what the best options for you are. As for FPS, in most cases, somewhere around 25-30 is fine. People won't like think it's slow or choppy or anything. Like for watching a stream, it's fine. If you really want to have like a really spiffy, high quality stream, just up this to 120 or 60. But it's quite likely that if you don't have a good computer, it's not going to be able to handle it. So just pick somewhere around 30. Next tab, audio. Really no need to change all this. You can just leave this on default unless you have like multiple audio cards. Then you'll need to select the one that you use. It's pretty obvious. Using push to talk is really overrated. No need. But this is pretty straightforward. Just fiddle around with this until you have something that you like and that you want. One thing though is these options right here. Don't touch this, or your audio is probably going to be out of sync. Unless your audio is already out of sync, then you can use this to adjust it. This is to adjust the loudness of both your desktop sound, which you guys can hear right now. That's the music and whatever sounds I would have here. Like let's say I get an error message or something, that's desktop sounds. That's this one. If it's too soft, just up this, and same goes for microphone. If people can't hear you, just turn this up. Then we go to advanced. if you don't know what you're doing, leave everything the way it is. Like, there's a reason that this is called advanced. It's for people that know what they're doing. So if you don't know what you're doing, don't touch this. Multi-thread optimization will give you better performance by better utilizing multiple cores on your computer, as far as I could understand the the guide on the OBS website. So if that's not on, you can turn it on if you want. Don't touch the priority class. Don't do anything with this if you don't know exactly what you're doing. The only two things that you can really touch is these two options. Use constant frame rate, that's CFR. It's kind of the same like constant bit rate, but for frames. It can help your stream be a little bit less choppy. It will adjust the quality of the stream back and forth a little bit while scenes are changing very rapidly and your computer is processing stuff. So you can choose to use this if you want to. If you feel it works, the stream works better with this, just use it. If not, don't. Another thing that you can touch is this. That's the encoding. So what OBS does is it grabs your screen, and then like what it does with the pixels in the frame is it encodes them. It kind of, you know, compromise them, like it would be a zip file or a RAR file or whatever. And depending on what you choose here, it will be more compact. But the compactor that you make your video frames, the more tax it's going to put on your CPU. However, the less bitrate is going to take. So if you put this on slower, your CPU will be taxed more, but your internet connection will be taxed less. The default is very fast. You can leave it at that if you don't have problems. If you have like some weird FPS drops on your computer, or your computer is getting laggy, or your processor can't handle it, you can turn this faster step by step. I use ultra fast because I have a really fast internet connection over here, so I don't really need to encode it. One negative thing about this is that people that have slow internet can't actually watch my stream without having choppiness. Like, tablets are not going to be able to handle the amount of data to download to watch my stream. So keep that in mind. If you want to stream for a large public and want people to be able to watch you on phones, you can't use ultra fast. You'll have to say it very fast. Again, this table here is for very fast on OBS. So if you fiddle around with it, keep in mind that these values are going to change slightly as well. Right. As for this, this is new. I haven't really looked at what it does. So it's something with noise and microphones. I'm pretty sure it's straightforward, so you can just look into that yourself. Right. So once you have done all that, what you want to do is you want to press preview stream, which I can't do right now because I'm actually streaming. But once you do preview stream, it's either gonna give you an error message that you don't have a scene yet or something, or it's just gonna give you a black screen. What it does is it's gonna show you what you're streaming right now. So then, first thing we're gonna do is set up some global sources. I'm using global sources because normally you can set it up like one by one in the screen itself or in the scene itself, but I can't do that right now because you guys won't be able to watch what I'm doing. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start by adding a desktop, which you do like this. You click global sources, you click add, and what you do is you add a let me peek real quick if it was software. Yeah, that was software capture. Add software capture. Call it whatever you like. I would recommend if you're making a desktop, call it desktop. Click OK, and it will give you a pop-up. Alright, set it to monitor capture on whichever monitor you want it to capture. So if you use multiple, make sure you choose the right one. Set this option on, make it capture your mouse. If you want to, you can capture layer windows. There's no need really. This is, pretty straightforward. You can just leave it as it is, and you click OK, and then it shows up right here. Okay, so the next part, the screen might turn black for a while because I'm gonna add a new scene, but it's gonna be pretty obvious what I'm doing. So here we go. What we do is we press add scene, call it example, click OK, and it's probably, yeah, so you guys can see a black screen right now. What it did is it made a new scene over here, but it automatically sends me towards that scene, and that's why the screen turned black for a while. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna show you on this one first, and then I'm gonna do it really quick on the example scene. What we're gonna do is select this example, then you're gonna right click, add, global source, desktop. That's what we're gonna do, and then call it desktop. Okay, so you can see I have two desktops in here now. It's gonna add it on the right side, and that's pretty much your desktop right there. So I'm just gonna do this for the new scene for the example purpose, and the screen is gonna turn black for a short while. Don't worry about it, I'll be right back. Great, so you can see that this example scene has now desktop in it. Basically, you can pretty much stream everything right now. I'm pretty sure you can stream games as well, except that the desktop or the software capture mode is not really very resource light, let's call it that. It's not very effective in using its resources. So I'll just explain how to add a game that uses software capture instead, which is a lot faster and uses less resources. So you'll be able to stream higher quality with less resources, preventing from your computer from getting too hot or whatever. So first thing we want to do is I'm gonna do an example of DC Universe first, and then I'll do an example for League later with the overlay. First we want to fire up the game up to a point where it's actually in the game or in the part that you're gonna be streaming. So this, like, if you do it at this point where it's at the launcher, that doesn't work. You really need to be in the game, and this is the same for all games like League of Legends, Dark Age of Camelot, Dota, whichever game you decide to stream, you're gonna have to be in the game before you do this. Right, so you guys can see that the screen is black right now, and that is because I had DCU in front of my desktop, and it doesn't really recognize that because I'm running it in full screen. Now that's one thing that OBS can't deal with. That's full screen programs. It just can't recognize or can't find the programs. So if you're playing any kind of game that you want to stream or any program, make sure that it's either in windowed or borderless, because it's not going to be able to detect full screen games. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the settings in my DC universe real quick and make sure that it is in a windowed mode. This is going to take a second, so bear with me here. There we go. I'm just gonna look at my other screen. Yes. So you can see that already, even though I haven't added any new sources or scenes or whatever, OBS can actually see that there's a window there, and it displays that window on my desktop. So that's what you guys are seeing right now in the background. That's the game. Right, so what I did is I went to my video options, made sure full screen is off, and then I can just recognize it. Now, if I start playing this game right now, it's going to be really choppy. It's like, oh my god, my frame rate is dropping, and it is pretty much horrible right now. Yeah, that's because software capture on OBS, it uses quite a lot of resources in the way it works, so it's not really ideal. So we're gonna use game capture instead, and since I already set up the scene, you guys can see it. I'm just gonna do it directly now. You can use global sources if you want, but you can also do it directly. I'm gonna right click in my sources, click add, and then select game capture. Now I'm gonna call this DCU. It's gonna give me a new pop-up prompting me to select the application that I want to stream or whatever. This could just refresh it a couple of times, and this is why you have to have your actual game open, like the game window, because if you don't have the game open, if you only have the launcher open, you're gonna select the wrong thing here somewhere, and that is gonna end up in your stream not working the way it's supposed to. So with your game open, refresh this, select your game, capture a mouse cursor if you want. I don't want to in this case. You can stretch image to screen if you want. It's gonna just stretch it pretty much to full screen up until one of the edges hits the edges of your streaming resolution on Twitch, so you won't have to resize it yourself. As long as you don't check this, it's not gonna like distort the screen. And click OK. And now you can see there's two windows here. if I turn my desktop on, off, I mean, you guys should still be able to see the game. Now you won't be able to see the desktop, but you will be able to see the game itself. Probably pretty much on my screen fully. Now my game right now is not giving me any FPS lag or whatever. I can just run around, shoot, play to my heart's content. Not giving me any problems, and that's the reason why you want to use game capture instead of desktop. Now if you want to do it even better, like wasting even less resources, and you don't want to turn it off and on your desktop and whatnot, then you can choose to make 2 separate scenes. Make this example 1 and make another one called example 2, and put your desktop in one and your game in the other, and use a plugin to switch scenes. Now, like, if you really want to do this, you can find the plugins and whatnot at the OBS website. I'm not really going to explain that because this video is already taking longer than I had hoped. Right, so I'm just going to do pretty much the same thing, but for League of Legends. And I'm going to add one more thing, and that is the overlay. Right, so don't need this anymore, don't need that anymore, don't need this anymore. Right, so again, what we want to do is we want to start by, I'm gonna set up more or less the scene that I have here. I use a scene switcher for the scene. That's why it turned black right now. There's no desktop behind this. But for the example, I'll set everything up in one screen so you guys can see how this stuff works. Okay, so first off, you start by setting up your game. It's going to take a second. I hope the servers are not down, so then I'm going to have to patch to US or something. That's the reason why I started with another game in the first place. But this is not very hopeful. It's taking quite a while here. Okay, there we go. Right, so to set this up, just make a custom game real quick. Just create some random game. Make a password, make sure nobody's in there. Create the game, start the game. Oh fuck, I dropped a solo too. Inactivity, too drunk.
My blade is at your service.
Oh, here's
the Tempest is at your command.
You'll have to wait for the game to load, because this, like I said, this is the launcher, this is pvp.net, this is not the actual game. So you need to have the game running before OBS can actually recognize that window. So we'll have to wait for me to load, and you guys are probably gonna see a black screen for a second or two there somewhere along the way. So while we wait for that, yeah, what can I say? Yeah, if you look at the scene that I already had set up, you can see my actual League of Legends loading there with the overlay on the webcam. So while it's loading, I'm just gonna set up a small webcam right here. I would recommend to use to make a global source webcam, because usually people use that on multiple scenes. So let's just do that. I already have one. I'll just make it again. Basically, what you do is add a scene again, and you say add video capture device. Call it webcam.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
Apparently my league loaded. Okay. Select the webcam that you want to use. You can configure that if you want to. This just takes you into your webcam options itself. Pretty standard stuff. Not gonna go into that. Just click OK. It gives me an error that there's already global source using this, because I already have a global source called webcam.
30 seconds until minions.
For you guys, if this is the first time you set it up, it's not gonna give you this error message. It's just gonna, appear in this list. So what you do is you right click on your sources, add global source webcam, call it webcam. There you go, webcam. It's on top. Whatever is highest here is on top. Now you can see that I can't actually drag this. It's pretty big. I don't want it there. So what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to click edit scene. We'll bring up these little red lines and red squares in the corner. You can resize it to whatever you want. I'm just gonna do this real quick and then do it better after I have my overlay fixed up. Right. So if I go to my game real quick, you guys are gonna have a black screen,
In
but
harmony.
I'll be able to see my game right now.
I don't love you anymore.
Right, so
Goodbye.
what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to go into your video options again and make sure that you have all the stuff set up. Now I believe that OBS actually can recognize the league now in full screen. I'm not sure, but just to be safe, it's probably wise to use borderless. If you don't already have that and it's the first time that you set it to borderless, you're gonna have to restart the game for it to apply. Right. So what we're gonna do is add a game capture. Right click, add game capture. Call it league or lol or whatever. For league, you usually want to capture your mouse cursor so people can see where you're clicking and what you're clicking. Refresh this again. Make sure you select your League of Legends client from the list. Click OK, and it will add your League of Legends scene right there. Yeah, so actually I don't know what is on top and what is on the bottom right now. Either way, if I turn my desktop off, I think it should recognize League. However, because I added this League of Legends scene right now, before restarting the game, it probably hasn't found it yet. So I might have to stop streaming and resume streaming, or restart my League of Legends, or whatever. I'm not gonna do that right now. I'm just gonna switch back to desktop. It should show up though. Like if I alt tab into the game, you guys should be able to see it in a second. Yo, quick, yes, what's up? Hey, Zeke. Right. Next thing you want to do is add that little overlay, which I have over here. I'm gonna have to find it somewhere. I can't remember where it is exactly, so bear with me here. What you do is you add a image and call it overlay in the scene. I think I have it in the global source. Basically, you just find your image. I photoshopped my overlay by myself. You can find templates and ready overlays on Uncut Gaming Forum, or you can just make them yourself. Make sure you use transparency in Photoshop and save it as a PNG or something that doesn't lose too much quality. Is it in pictures? No, I am actually going to take a... Alright, there it is. Okay, I was gonna take a peek where I saved it, but apparently it's here. Just click OK. The overlay is gonna show up. Now, this image is a little bit bigger than my screen resolution right now. I made it in my native screen resolution, which is 1366 by something, and I'm streaming 1280 by 720, so I need to resize this. Usually they're designed to fit your screen, so all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna right click this and say position size fit to screen, and it's gonna do that automatically for me. If you want to do it by hand, just click edit scene. The little squares are gonna pop up and you can resize it. Right, so you can see I got my webcam more or less in a good spot. It's even behind my overlay, so that's good. You can feel around with this, and the last thing that you need to do is just make sure that the overlay is actually where it's supposed to be. I use the second screen so I can actually see what I'm streaming right now. That's probably why it's so laggy, because I'm watching stream and streaming at the same time. But if you don't use that, just start streaming and then stop streaming. Go to your Twitch website and watch the video replay. You'll be able to see it. I'm gonna alt tab into the game. I'm not sure if I probably need to restart this still, because you guys on the stream can probably not see anything but a black screen and an overlay.
With ease.
I'm just waiting for the stream to update. I think my desktop is in front still. Oh, there we go. Now you can see that the overlay that I use is slightly mispositioned there. The League client doesn't actually fit the whole of my screen, stuff like that. So you need to mess around with this a bit so it fits correctly.
Swiftly.
This is gonna take a few tries, but eventually you're gonna get it right. And then that's pretty much it. So like I said, I'm not gonna explain how to do the now playing. You can figure that out for yourself. It's not too hard, but it takes a little bit of reading. The overlays, there's a couple of standard overlays you can use on the Uncut Gaming website. If you don't find anything of your resolution or anything that you can use, you can request somebody to make it, I guess. Just, place a request in the appropriate section or forum. I think it's a graphics section or media section or something. If you... Obviously, the best thing is to make it yourself. If you can't, make sure you post a screenshot of you actually in game in League with all the windows up there, preferably also the level up thing and stuff, so people can make it for you if they want to, I guess, if they're nice enough. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So if you have any questions, you can post them on the forum. I might answer them, I might not, I don't know yet. As for people that have trouble with choppy streams, laggy streams, that is usually the cause of either using your software capture while you're in game, which usually just uses too much CPU, or your computer being not good enough to handle this, which is quite unlikely because you'll have to have a pretty old computer if it's not going to be able to handle OBS at some kind of lower resolution, or which is the most likely option here, too slow internet to stream. Yeah, if you have too slow internet, you can't stream. Sorry, bro, but you need a certain internet speed to stream. Like, if you have a really good computer to compensate for it, you can fiddle around with your settings. Like I said, if you set this to, the slower you set this, the less internet this uses for high quality. But if it's choppy and it's not, and you know you have a good internet speed, and you know your computer is good, that means you fucked up this part, the encoding. This is the most important part. If it doesn't work, just fiddle around with it. I'll post the link somewhere in the forum alongside of this video to that table you saw earlier. I closed it. I'll find it in a second. But this is usually the issue. Make sure you set that max bit rate to a maximum of 75% of your upload speed. If you have 4K or more here, it should be fine to stream 720p. And make sure that buffer size is either the same size or about 1.5 times this. That is the most likely cause and the most frequent cause of choppy streams. So for anyone on the Uncut Gaming forums that still, doesn't know why their stream doesn't work, if it's not this, if it's not something that I explained on this video, during this video, which is probably like 40 minutes by now, really long, really boring, but if you just listen this out, you should be able to configure a good stream. If you can't do it, that means you can't stream. You're either not smart enough, which I don't mean to be mean, but like, you need to have a little bit of brains, and you need to be willing to read a little bit of text if it's not working, or your internet is just too bad. So yeah, either read more about this stuff, or work harder, change internet provider or whatever, get better internet. But don't like reply to the thread I'm about to post and say like, my stream is not working, can you help me? If it's not covered in this video, I can't help you. Go to the OBS forums or don't stream. Right, so if you have any questions, like, you can ask them. If you have comments, you can post them. I'm just like, if you ask stupid stuff which is already covered, I'm just not gonna reply. So there. Yeah. So I hope the people that requested a guide on how to use OBS to stream are gonna be, satisfied with this, and this is gonna help them. And yeah, that's pretty much all I want to say. That concludes this really long-winded tutorial of how to use OBS to stream.